Greetings and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm your host, Dr. G, and I am so glad you could keep our appointment. Now, tonight's guests are returning for a second office visit. Dr. Arkh and Jahzara Isra from the Imperial City, sometimes known as the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. They consider themselves residents of the Kingdom of Heaven, present here on earth as love. Tonight's informative health and wellness segment is entitled A Living Temple Detoxification. They will discuss water and health, the truth about water, and how to detoxify and live, as well as their alkaline spring rainbow water product. Dr. Arkh is a doctor of naturopathy rather than allopathy. He utilizes all that Allah gave us, which is every herb-bearing seed and every tree-bearing fruit for wellness and healing. Records say Dr. Arkh's feet met man in Queens, New York territory, where as far back as he can recollect, he's always had a different way of thinking and being than those around him. He has been extending himself through the healing arts for over 30 years and says he's learning that things only get simpler with time and with God. His empress, Dr. Jazz, as she's called for short for Jahzara, also placed her feet on land in Brooklyn in the New York territory. She was considered the quote-unquote black sheep of the family, the one who marched to the beat of her own drum and didn't conform to the norm. Ironically, the two met at a Madison Square Garden Health Expo 30 years ago and have been together ever since. They reminisce how a supernatural spark ignited between them, and here we are. Their website, which is constantly being upgraded and updated, is templerestoration.life. Tonight, for the beginning of the show, we will be joined by their son, Adonijah, who is an integral part of their health and wellness business and is also the webmaster. So, to help me welcome back to Office Hours with Dr. G, Dr. Jazz, Dr. Arkh, and their son, for the first few minutes, Brother Adonijah. Welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G.
Yeah, that's me.
How are you doing? Welcome.
Greetings. So happy to be here today. How are you?
I'm doing kind of good. I told you what's going on. I'm doing good. So, if I disappear, then you'll know how I'm doing. Welcome, both of you. I was trying to get all that in that space of time. So I felt like I was speaking at warp speed. But welcome to the show and back to the show, as you have been here before. And welcome, Adonijah, for the first time. I did meet your younger brother, who has been on the show. So now, who's the chef, right? He is the chef. So welcome. And you are a webmaster, among other things. Tell us, before we get to talk to your father, who's been on here before, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I would say I'm very deep into physical fitness and exercise.
Okay.
It's something I bring to the table greatly. I'm into, breathing, meditation, going inward, truth. There's a plethora of things that I'm into that I do, but I guess wherever I'm needed, I go and I adapt and I change to help any way I can at any time. So, I'm not limited to one thing. I'm an infinite person, so I do as many things as I can when I can, and I like to keep adding on to that, just because what else is there to do? Live life and have fun
and expand, right? Expansion, right? Yeah. Well, that's amazing, but it's good though that you help your parents with the business. With the rainbow water business, and I'm assuming, like you said, you also keep the website going and so forth. So it's always good, I think, when families can work together. We have gotten all so far away from that. I think that was maybe the model early on that you, Dr. Arkh, that early on families kind of worked together and they, carried on the family businesses and so forth. And we got into consumerism and nobody made anything anymore. Everybody's going and making something for somebody else and then consuming their stuff. But it seems like you all have brought that full circle back to, you all being the producers of what you have, and that's the way we as a people used to be. If my studies are correct.
Absolutely. That's taking things back to unity, and not where I think we've been put into the system or the systems we created to keep the umis and the amis working all the time, and the children are off in another room, with video games or some other distraction. I think we don't come together at the table to just eat and be quiet and communicate about our days and what was going on in our lives, because we're so busy, just trying to survive. So I say yes to the family, and every one of our children here donates their energy and their time to build what we call Isra Empire. That's what we called it. That's where we have our crest and our seals. And that encompasses, not only Rainbow Water 8.0, but temple restoration, exercise physiology. Like Adonai is being very modest about what he does. And he is phenomenal as far as like keeping us in line for stretching and meditation and standing on our head and building our muscles, our core. He has me out doing pull-ups on trees and bands and all kinds of stuff that I didn't think I'd be getting into. However, he makes it so much fun to do, and then you start to love it. You create a great habit. Then you feel the energy surging through your body. You feel your meridians open up. You feel your energy channels just enlarging, and you feel really, really happy, because that exercise is so important because it activates the lymphatic system. The heart is one pump that works autonomically all the time, just programmed by the subconscious. However, the lymphatic system needs the exercise in order for that pump to work, to move toxins and just give you an overall good feeling, process fats, get the metabolism going, get the blood flow going, get your brain clear because you're getting more oxygen, by breathing, which he does these phenomenal breathing techniques where we could be taking ice cold showers. He taught me how to breathe, whereas I can generate enough heat in my body to be in ice cold water, which is very invigorating as a shower for your nervous system, Mm-hmm. So he's just over here kind of being modest about what he does. He's amazingly expansive and always coming up with more and more and more, and showing us how to do things with simple stuff around the house. Like the other day I was having some kind of stiffness in my back, and he handed me an umbrella and told me to take the umbrella and start to unwind with the width and bringing my arms all the way in rotation back. And within, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, like the little kink that I was having is gone. I just came back to him, man, you're awesome.
So you must have had one of those the old-fashioned long umbrellas, because now they, like everything else, the umbrellas have gotten smaller and compact. Yeah, because you would definitely roll.
Yeah, that would have been funny to have that. I'd be
like, Absolutely. Well, that's good. Movement, lymph. Let's go back to lymph, because you made me remember something. I want to say I was about 5 or 6, and I remember, I have a scar to remember that. But about 5 or 6, I had to have surgery on one of these thighs in the groin area, because one year all of the toxicity in my body had built up in that one spot, and I had this huge cyst, and they said they had to do a drainage and they had to surgically open my thigh and pack it. I remember my mother almost fainting when they were, like after, I think before I was coming home, they were taking out the gauze and so forth to repack it and so forth. And my mother was like, but it was a buildup right in that one spot. And so a lot of times we don't think about it. I know when when I was learning Reiki, one of the things my Reiki teacher, Reiki master taught us was how to do a lymphatic, how to brush up this, up in the areas where the lymph comes up from the ankles up. And we don't think about how, like you said, heart works automatically. And the lymph node, you got to do something. I guess you would know this, Adonai, to make sure that the lymph is circulating through the body. What kinds of things clog up the lymphatic system?
Stagnation,
inflammation,
inflammation.
Add on to it. He said stagnation. I said inflammation. I was just adding.
So
yeah. So because I want to say, because a lot of it, how about, is it like maybe if you sit a lot, if you're, you talk about you all are active, you get up and you're out and about, and you're doing stuff, but the person who might be sedentary or have a job where they're sitting most of the day, and those types of people, with those people like that end up having maybe issues with the lymphatic system, say more so than others.
Absolutely. And for the people that have the habit, because it's nothing more than a habit of being stagnant, or just being too tired, not having enough energy to even think about doing exercise, because we've been worked so hard. A lot of times when we finally get a chance to just sit down, we just want to kind of veg out. However, say a person that we shower every day, so there's something that we can do called skin brushing, right? So this is what's called a natural vegetable bristle brush. Okay, it actually slides apart as well. So
I have that exact same brush.
That's what's
it's
up.
The guy's name on there, Robert somebody.
Yerba Prima.
Oh, mine is a Robert guy, but I've had it for like. Huh?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say that Robert Gray. So you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, and the company was Yerba Prima. He used to put his name on the different.
Mine that's how old mine is. His name is on mine.
Right, I know, I got you. And now, so they come out basically same production, same brush, and by using this brush on your skin, not only do you remove dead skin, however, you start with your feet and you brush everything toward the heart, and you make sure that it's a dry brushing, and you cover every surface area of the skin, work into your heart, your back, and your hands, and this will stimulate your lymphatic system as well.
Okay.
This is a different way to initiate that detoxification process with the lymph, and then doing exercise just takes it to another level as well.
Well, so we need to move more. We need to make sure we're, how about inflammation? Because that's a biggie. A lot of people have a lot of ailments that tend to seem to have their basis in inflammation. Where's that come from?
Well, the inflammation comes from most of the toxicity built up in the body, the stagnation, and basically, for me, and what I've seen with a lot of the clients that come through is that it's a a mineral deficiency, because the cell walls are not permeable. So by having no amounts of sulfur, elemental sulfur, magnesium, those are some of the main elements that go in and help the cell wall become more permeable, so they can let the ballooning out and take in more nutrition. And so a lot of people come with carpal tunnel, they'll come with different inflammatory type issues, and we'll put them on just giving them minerals, or recommend that they go get the minerals, and they'll start doing that, and within a few days or so, they start seeing a big difference where the ballooning is actually able to relieve itself. So that helps a lot with inflammation.
So mineral deficiency.
And water as well. I mean, really, really good water. So
speaking of which, you all.
Quick, peace and love.
Thank you.
Peace and love, family.
Peace and love. How are you doing, Dr. Jazz?
Phenomenal.
Yes. So we were just getting ready to talk about water and the importance of
Yes.
water to detoxification and what's going on, and so yeah, let's tell us about water, because if anybody's like me, they don't drink enough. A lot of us don't drink enough.
Well, when you start drinking rainbow water, we found that people who do not usually like to drink water like drinking rainbow water. It helps that the water is crisp and fresh and it tastes clean. And when we sent you that little bit of water, did you find it difficult to drink or easier to drink than normal? Truthfully.
Um, I no, I don't know whether I didn't find it difficult. I mean, distinctively was different. It was a different taste than anything I'd ever tasted before. I could like sort of smell the mineral quality in it, which I've never, in any other water. And I mean, and I drank it all. I drank it all, but because it's not something that I have on a regular, I had to improvise and then try to find. And the best tasting water that I found after that turned out not to really be good water, because I realized it was in an aluminum can. I was like, why am I drinking water in an aluminum can? Aluminum's not good for you. No wonder I can't think straight half the time. You know what I mean? So it tasted okay, but it was in an aluminum can. And it says it was alkaline, but I'm saying it's in an aluminum can. And that's sort of counterproductive, I would think, since aluminum has such negative effects, on the brain and so forth. So, but no, it was not difficult. Back to the original, it was not difficult for me to drink. It's just that I don't have it all the time. So, I'm up here and you all are down there. So it wasn't something that I had access, I have access to on a regular. Yeah. But quite a few people have reached out to me trying to get to you all. So I'm just going to put it out there, because they've been trying to get the water. Somebody texted me just the other day, and I thought, well, I didn't respond to him, but I was like, they're going to come on, and I'm going to tell them that we have to make sure that we know how that people at a distance can order the water, because I've gotten several calls, and so folks are really interested in quality water and water that's coming from us.
Yes.
That's right.
It's almost like FUBU, for us, by us.
Right.
There's no middleman, in our waters coming from our land.
Grassroots.
Yeah, exactly. Grassroots. Like, it's indigenous Aborigines land. Our chief, matter of fact, our chief just did a video a little while ago when he was talking about people coming, because we homestead on the land as well, to live off grid. So he was just putting out like a proclamation for people to come, because he's saying things are getting ready to get deep out here. And the water source, they have chickens and turkeys and fish, and they're raising, gardens and food.
Growing food, that's right.
And basically, when you go there, you get a plot of land. I don't want to be misquoted, but I'm pretty sure it's like $1,200, and you can't own it or anything, but it's your space, And then we help you build the outboxes for your cottage or whatever we put up. We're getting ready to put up tiny homes as well. We have a gym facility on the property. We have a restaurant on the property.
The school.
There's a school for education. Because it's over 1,000 acres, and we're just making a safe haven for our people to come if they desire and find a place to be off grid.
I'm pretty sure that will be of interest to a lot that either are listening or will see this afterwards, because so many of us are trying to make sure that we can separate ourselves. We want to, we want our land, but we also, in the meantime, in between time, we want to be separate from all of the tyranny that we find ourselves under. And if there's a way to do that, by all means, I'm probably gonna get a lot of calls like, how do I get in touch with them about that? And that's not you all. You said that's your chief, right?
Yeah, we're all family, so you can contact us as well. They can reach out to us through Rainbow Water 8.0@gmail.com, or they can go to our website, which is templerestoration.life, and contact us through any of those means. And we'll get back with you, put you in touch with the right people, because everything we're doing is in the private. It's not really being made public or locations or anything like that.
Right.
And right now, we are also asking for donations to the land as well to help build homes for people to come. You can actually come in a tent if you want to tent out on the property as well. That's totally allowable. But we're looking for people that will give to the land and be a contributing factor to building the community, and that's the main thing, as well as having a safe haven.
There's a question in the chat about what part of North Carolina are you all in?
We're in Imperial City, aka Charlotte, North Carolina, and the land is up in Yadkinville, which is about an hour and 20 minutes from North Carolina. I mean Charlotte, excuse me.
Okay. Yadkinville?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Yadkinville, North Carolina. Okay, which is about an hour, so hour and 20 minutes from Charlotte.
That's right.
I see my buddy Sister Deborah says rainbow water is awesome. I know they called me or texted me a week or so ago, and they were trying to find you. And by the time I text back, I think they were right there they had found you at the farmers market where you are. Is that right? So they got their water, and I'm glad that and I learned a lot more. I'm pretty sure. Have you do you all have distribution in other places other than, or is it all I know it's coming from the land, but are there distributors in other parts of this territories around that have the water? Let me see. Wait a minute. Hold up. We went mute. Can you unmute yourself? I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You're mute. Try again.
There
you are.
There it is.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Okay. So
Somebody wants to know how
disappeared
they can get the water in California. They said, how can we get the water in California?
We ship. We actually templerestoration.life. We have something called rainbow packs that you can get, like half a case of the liter bottles.
So rainbow pack number 1 is a half case. Rainbow pack is a half case of liter bottles, which is 9. Rainbow pack number 2 is a half case of 20 ounces, which is 12. So the full case, of course, is 18 of the liters. The full case is, which you can also buy, the full case is of the 20 ounces, 24. And then you can also go down from there. If you don't want a half case, you can get a quarter case of each. And the quarter case of the liters is 6, and the quarter case of the 20 ounces 8
bottles.
And they'll come in a small square box. Shipping isn't too much. It's around $20 to $22 for most places, and it gets there quickly.
Okay.
We haven't had any complaints so far.
Did I do that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
That's correct.
Okay.
So those are flat rate boxes. So the shipping is pretty consistent because water is heavy. Water weighs 8 pounds a gallon. So we're also working on being able to get the shipping prices down. We're negotiating with UPS and Amazon as well, because Amazon has the fulfillment warehouses in certain areas. So we're talking to them to see about them storing the water there. And then they would be able to deliver it to homes. Pretty much, I guess you have Prime or something, would be almost free delivery.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we have things in the works to help.
Yeah, that's good. And is water better? Water's better kept in glass than plastic. But it's all right in plastic if it's not there for a long, long time, right?
No, not our water. Our water doesn't leach because it's a whole product. It's not missing anything, so it doesn't extract anything from any vessel that it's in. We've tested it, left it in a bottle for over 2 years, sent it out to the lab, and it comes back exactly the same. It doesn't change. So it's not like these chemicalized waters that say they're alkaline, or some of the water's electrocuted through machines, and it's really just tap water that they process. And because the name alkaline, water has become like organic or vegan, plant-based or vegan.
gluten-free,
and all that. So
catchphrases.
Yeah, everybody hears alkaline. They just, it's alkaline water. All alkaline water is not created equal. Okay, just like we were talking before the show, and you were energizing that water, and you talked about cell structure. The cell structure is very, very important, and that's why most people that are buying these other alkaline waters, they find themselves urinating quite a bit, because that water is not absorbed into the tissue or the cells, because the cell structure is not proper. And when the cell structure is proper, it makes a big, big difference on how the water affects your body.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was one of the reasons why I don't like drinking a lot of water, because it was like, I can't live if I'm drinking water, because I got to stay near a bathroom all the time, because water in, water out, water in, water out. And yeah, when you're drinking something that, like you said, has the proper molecular structure, it is down to a minuscule size that can absorb through the cells and then do whatever it is that needs to be done, instead of what I say is, instead of just sloshing around in your body and then coming out as urine, with everything else, taking your whatever supplements you took and everything with it, as opposed to, taking things where it needs to go to do what your body needs.
Exactly. So it's like the difference between a basketball size cell in some water trying to fit it into a golf ball. It's just not going to work. We need a marble, we need a pea, we need a mustard seed to get into the cells. And we're talking about 60 trillion cells in the body. So there's a lot of cities in the body that are going dry. Because they just can't get water. The water kind of just rolls over them. Hey, buddy, I'm here. And it's on the way out the door, like you said, staying near the bathroom.
And then talk about the fact, I guess, how all water is not created equal. So you could drink water and drink the wrong water. And I guess that you might as well not drink water because of what it's not doing, right?
Exactly. So we've also found a lot of people that start drinking the water, they've been drinking other water for years and years and years and not really getting water into their tissue. When they get this water, life starts to change.
Wow.
Because all of a sudden now the cells, the tissue, it's like having a dry sponge. If anyone's ever seen a really dry sponge, it gets all crunchy and then when you wet it, it expands and opens up. Well, the tissue, the vertebrae, they're sponges, they're tissue, they're cells. So when they actually start getting water, they start to expand. So a lot of times this joint pain is leaving. We've had people, elderly people on breathing machines now, because our water also has a good amount of hydrogen in it. So that's an extra oxygen molecule. So they're able to get stronger with breathing and leave the machine on the side and be able to walk to the door without breathing hard. We just find so many, better sleep. There's just so many attributes that take place from people getting water, and they come back all the time and go, man, this water is the truth. This is making a difference. And we're like, yes, exactly. And you probably have never had water before. So now you're actually having water for almost like first time. It's a real experience for you, and we love it. We just love being part of that change in people's life, especially since we're temple restoration. And just for folks to know, temple restoration, when we're talking about the temple, we talk about the body. And our whole premise is to restore health back to the body and wholeness. So just like exercise, detoxification, meditation, mindset, forgiveness, because a lot of times sickness and disease is connected to different spiritual things as well, and getting people really to get their voice right and the things that they say to line up with what they really desire. Because we can hold ourselves in stasis or conditional contracts mentally that kind of offshoot our wellness. So those are some of the things that temple restoration stands for, and anybody can add anything.
Could you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that is probably a missing link to a lot of illness, one's emotional state, one's mental state, how that affects and can affect various situations that arise in the body.
Oh yeah, well that's everything, because we're gods and goddesses. So what we say is what it is. We create our existence, we create our life. We're the anchor of our universe. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. All of that stuff is true. And a lot of times we make conditional contracts for ourselves. We say, if this happens or when this happens, I'll be this and I'll be that. So now that means that can't happen until our own word is fulfilled. Just like people say, I'm sick and tired of this, little words like that where we're cursing ourselves and we don't even realize the extent of the damage of what we're doing with little colloquialisms and sayings that we say all the time. And because water is alive, water hears every word that we say. It even responds to every thought that we think. So, the things that we're saying to others, the people that we're around, that we're hearing in our environment is all affecting the water in our bodies, affecting our own alkalinity, our own health. Those are the things that we have to take into account.
Right, because poor thinking, and I'm gonna say poor thinking. Let's just say diverse thinking,
non-beneficial,
can create acidity in the body, just as well as the environment can create the acidity, or the foods that we're taking in by making certain habitual choices. And for me, most of the things that we're dealing with is nothing but habits. So, we have a habit of thinking certain ways and doing things certain ways that feel very comfortable for us. And once we actually start to line up with wanting to break our habits, that makes all the changes in the world. And sometimes that seems like a tough thing at first, because we've been doing things so long one way, and then turn it around. That's when you realize, for me anyway, this is when you realize that there's resistance in our minds and our mindset to the choices that we make consciously. There's a subconscious part of us that's deeply embedded in that habit and wants to constantly turn that thermostat back to wherever it was comfortable at. So there's a period where you're going back and forth with your own self to liberate yourself from a habit. So, for example, like someone makes a New Year's resolution, that I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, blah, blah. They go get a gym membership, they run out and they're ready. And, the first 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, they're going at it. And then gradually excuses start to come up, that they can't make it to the gym, or this other business is, interfering with that, or I don't have enough time. And all that is really coming from the inner being, the subconscious mind is creating that because it wants to get back to the habit. And those excuses kind of justify the position, so to speak, to get you back to that comfort zone. Before you know it, you're right back where you were. So there's definitely a period of time you have to be diligent. You really have to go and, for me, and put notes around, like put notes on your mirror, about what you want to achieve, what you want to go, make a vision board for yourself. If you have a body that you want to see, take the head off and take your head and put it on the body. And all these things are mental acuity things for your subconscious mind to give an idea of what you want to generate. Because there's nothing that's impossible to us. And we are limitless in every way, shape, and form in order to have anything and everything that we want. So it's just a matter of us being diligent, creating new habits that are beneficial to cause us to grow and expand, and probably wipe out some of the old habits that we just don't want. And there's no easy way out for us. Allopathy kind of gives us these drugs. And for me, like all drugs do, it's almost like your car needing oil. Instead of going to the mechanic and having them put the oil in the car, you tell them to cut the wire to the light. So I'm not getting the signal of pain anymore, which is the body's communication to tell, hey, there's something that needs to be addressed here, something that you should take a look at, as opposed to a medication coming in and cutting off that signal. So the car still needs the oil. So there's an underlying condition still getting worse and worse. However, I can't feel it, so I'm okay. And then you end up dealing with something else, dealing with a more drastic, or leading you to surgery, or maybe getting cut, or some kind of extreme condition that now has to be taken care of for the system to make money off your body or your temple.
Yeah, I was thinking again when you said something about not feeling or knowing, like with people who are diabetic and have some level of neuropathy or something, or where they get to the place where they're not feeling, and then they get an injury, and because they don't feel the pain of it, the thing just gets worse and worse, and then that leads to maybe amputation or even worse, death from things that you can't feel, but it still doesn't mean you're not being affected. vibe.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that brings me to a thought that I think we told this story before, but it's always in my mind about Jazz's dad. Um, they, huh?
My hobby.
Yeah, Abby. Pardon me, it's Abby. So they came in when he had necrotic neuropathy in his feet. They were turning black. He had a very poor consumption and eating nothing but acidic foods because he was staying with a brother, which didn't know anything about what we were talking about. However, he came to be with us when they wanted to cut his feet off, and we simply just turned all that stuff around over a few weeks. Where his feet actually started turning back to natural color.
Oh yeah.
His what do you call it? His renal doctor.
He was in end-stage renal failure, but he refused to do dialysis. So he basically came to us to die, which is why they brought him to us. But he ended up living much longer. He ended up getting off all of his medications, about 16 or 18 medications, and his medicine was food. We were feeding him good whole foods. He was vegetarian. He was eating nothing but vegetables and salads, and he was loving it. He was doing really well. So
prior to what was his diet? Like an egg sandwich with cheese.
He came eating 2 fried eggs with 2 slices of American cheese on white bread, pasted with margarine, with a cup of tea, because he's from the Caribbean, British West Indies, so they do their tea thing, with carnation milk and 4 sweetened loaves and an orange.
Or grapefruit.
No.
Oh, we added the grapefruit.
We added the grapefruit. We started out with an orange. And the story was, when he came, this is all he will eat. This is what you have to feed him, because that's all he'll eat. So when we started feeding him, we were like, oh man, this is crazy. So we started pulling back a little bit. We changed the bread to a whole grain bread. We changed the margarine to real butter. And then we found something that had like omega-3 fatty acids in it and things like that. We changed the cheese from the fake American cheese to a real natural cheddar cheese. We backed off. Instead of doing 2 eggs, we did 1 egg. And we noticed that every little increment we did, he didn't miss. He didn't skip a beat. I went from 4 sweetened loaves to 3 sweetened loaves. A couple of days later, I went to 2 sweetened loaves. He didn't say a word. Then we got out of the sweetener altogether, and we put another natural sweetener that I think was made of monk fruit. He didn't skip a beat. And I remember the first time we went out to a farmer's market, and we were always getting him oranges, and they had some really big, gorgeous pink grapefruits. And we said, let's get some of these pink grapefruits instead. And I remember the first time we got him the pink grapefruit, he said, oh, thank God, I've been so tired of eating oranges. And when he said that, we found out it wasn't that was all he would eat. Because he was legally blind, that was all he knew to make for himself. Oh. So because he never communicated with my brother never communicated with him, the assumption was made, this is all he will eat. Man, when we started cooking different things for him, I'm gonna tell you, I'm from Barbados, okay? My lineage, my family, my people are from Barbados. And when you're real happy, I hope I don't offend anyone, but the saying is, he was like a faggot in Boys Town, all right? That man, he was real happy. He was thrilled that he was getting different things to eat every day. So, so even things that we think are habit, that we make for ourselves, some people say, well, I don't like onions, I don't like mushrooms, I don't like this, because they didn't like something as a child. But if you never retried as an adult, you're not the same now that you were when you were a child. So how do you know that you still don't like it? You know what I mean? Taste buds, taste change all the time, but we put ourselves into these boxes that we don't need to be in.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And my son said it was absolutely true, that everything he was eating was nothing but acidic. All of that was acidity.
Examples of some, besides what you listed, that might be regular part of the standard American diet that's acidic and not good for you.
Well, all flesh is acidic. So any meat products, that's all acidic. Most grains are acidic. There are a few grains that are closer to the alkaline threshold, but most grains are acidic. Most things that are alkaline are going to be your whole foods, your fruits, your veggies. Even when you have citrus foods that are lemons, limes, that are acidic in the body, they become alkaline. So it's still not acidic to the body. It's still alkaline.
Okay.
Like to add anything? And one of the things that I wanted to mention, we said earlier that all water is not created equal. So last year at Online Schooling for Moorish Children, in the upper levels, I teach health, and we did a project where we tested a lot of waters on the shelf. And so I brought the list with me. I have it on my cell phone. So I'm going to read some of the waters and the pH of these waters that people buy on the shelf that they think is good water because it's in a bottle.
Well, it's cheap.
Right.
Because they want to spend that, more dollars for.
Okay. So if anyone drinks Hint is that fruit flavored water that they usually have at Walmart. That is 3.5 on the pH scale. And if you don't know, neutral, which is pure water, is right in the center, which is 7.0. The pH scale goes from 0, which is most alkaline, to 14, which is most acidic. And right in the middle, which is neutral, is 7.0. So anything below 7 is acidic. All right? So anything between 0 and 4 is highly acidic. 5, 4 to 6 is slightly acidic, and 7 to about 9 is slightly alkaline, and 9 and above is highly alkaline. Okay, so Hint is 3.5, which is pretty low. There's a water called H factor. If someone has that in their city, H factor is also 3.5. These waters compare to Sprite Zero, which is also 3.5, very acidic. Penta is a water that a lot of people drink. That's 4.0. That's not much better. Aquafina is 4.0, is 4.5. A water called Refresh is 4.5. Dasani we're still in the acidic range. Dasani is 5.0. Deja Blue is 5.0. True Soul is 5.0. Deep Spring and Voss. A lot of people drink Voss. This was this wasn't a Voss bottle. This actually I just bought as a bottle, but the Voss bottle looks like this. So a lot of people buy Voss because it's in a glass bottle. I used to buy it for the bottle, to recycle the bottle. That's 5.5. That's still acidic. Poland Springs, that's a very popular one. That's acidic. That's 6.0. Crystal Geyser, that's one that some people get shipped to their homes. That's 6.0. Life Water, which I believe is a product of Coca-Cola, is 6.0. 40 ounce is a water brand. That's 6.0. Highland Spring, Deer Park, all 6.0, all acidic. Extra 8, Smart Water is 6.5, still in the acidic range. Eternal Water and Kirkland Water, if you buy water from Costco, is 6.5, which is also acidic. So now 7.0, which is considered neutral, which is the middle of the line. GNC water, a water called BAI, Cascade, Mountain Valley Springs, Publix spring water, Publix. Fiji is 7.5 water. Fiji is one of the better waters. Icelandic, Proud Source, Evian, Arrowhead, Core, and Winn-Dixie spring water are all 7.5. Ethos, Vitanourish, Waikia, which is a Hawaiian water, Ice Canyon, Eternal Water, and Great Value are 8.0. But what we have to look at with these waters, some of these waters are on the alkaline side because they're purified water, like Great Value water. It's purified water, which means it's tap water put through a filter, and then it's conditioned, which means conditioners are added to alkalize it. So that means it's still processed. It's not a natural alkalinity. So we need to realize that any waters that are on this alkaline side of the list that are not spring water are alkalized by additives. Okay? So I think Waikia is one of the few that's not, because it's a Hawaiian water, it's a Hawaiian spring water. Now, then you get into the waters that are highly acidic, that are highly alkaline, excuse me. There's a water called 8.8 alkaline water that has additives to make it alkaline. Aquapana, Zephyr Hills spring water. I'm pretty sure that when if it says spring water, it should be okay. Now, there's one water called Essentia, which is supposed to have a pH of 10.0. So people might see that and they may be like, oh, that's good. That's got a pH of 10. That's a high pH. But you have to look at you always have to read the label. How is it getting to that high of a pH? It's by additives. All right. So there you go.
So just like food, you got to read those labels. When you look at any kind of packaged food that you're buying or processed food, and you can't pronounce the ingredients, that's an issue.
That's a red flag.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because food is simple. Food is not complicated.
That's right.
And there's a book that folks can get. What's the name of it? Lady Ruth something. What was it called about the?
Baptiste?
No, for the ingredients. Like there's a breakdown Bible at it, and it tells you all the different. You can look at all the different names of all the different processes.
Consumer's Guide to Food Additives?
Yeah, that's it. Consumer Guide to Food Additives. That's it.
Yes, that's a great book. Consumer's Guide to Food Additives. That will blow your mind because it has all of the things that the FDA say is okay to be in our food. And if you look at the symptoms and the effects of these things that they say is okay to be consumed, it's ridiculous. Most of them cause sterility, cause genetic abnormalities. I mean, just like the craziest thing. And when you read it, you think to yourself, why would anyone put something like this in food? Anyone with any common sense in their head would ask that question. And that's because the food business it's a money business. And so the sicker we are, the more money they make. There's no money in our being well for the medical community, unfortunately. So
with that, I pulled up something called A Consumer's Guide to Toxic Food Additives. Is that
may be an updated version of it? Absolutely. So when they have the food dyes in there, red number 2 and lake number 3 and yellow number this, those things are treacherous. You know, things that we don't think about, that we just consume. Even sugar, just sugar. Sugar is a drug. Sugar is literally poisonous to our system. Sugar is so addictive, more addictive than any drug on the market, but it's not considered that, but it most certainly is. And we teach in health that there is added sugar in over 80% of foods on the market. So that means that you can only find 20% of foods that do not have sugar just thrown in there for no particular reason whatsoever.
And I think that's what you saying?
So people might get
right.
Right.
Speaking to your parasites,
right, and also to your acidic palate.
Exactly.
Because when things are alkaline and your body's acidic, it's like giving a baby. You can give a baby barley green or wheatgrass, and the baby will just suck that down because their systems haven't been tainted. However, when a lot of us adults, when we start to have alkaline foods or we taste something that's alkaline, our faces draw up, or I give someone bitter herbs, which is very healing to the body and detoxification, and they just cringe like, oh my God, does it have to be so bitter? Well, listen, bitters are good for you. Bitters are great for you. And
That's right.
Those herbs that you're taking is what Allah has put here for us to bring our healing forth. We're just not used to having it because we're full of sugars and sweets and acidic. So it takes a time for our palates to adjust to an alkalinity in food and so forth, because food has mad flavor, mad energy in it. Like we eat a lot of sprouts, right? So we grow all types of stuff: sunflower sprouts, amaranth sprouts,
Radish,
clover sprouts, radish, broccoli, which is if you think about
carrot sprouts,
right, carrot sprouts.
Mm-hmm.
The potential of that seed is in the sprout. So when you grow the sprouts and you eat that, you're eating electric food. That food is powerful. That has life in it, because you got to think about it. That seed was meant to produce an entire radish, and here it is just in the sprout form. All the energy that it would have to make an entire radish or to grow into its fullness is in the sprout.
So now check this out. My favorite type of sprout is a sunflower sprout, okay? Because it has that nutty taste of sunflower seeds without the actual sunflower seeds. And if you ever look up something called Carillion photography, it's a type of energy photography.
Yeah.
Carillion, right, where it shows like the energy that's coming off of different things. Exactly. So when you take a Carillion photograph of a sunflower sprout, the energy coming off of it is like wow. Because if you think about it, how big and tall sunflowers grow. So all of that energy is packed into this little tiny thing. So it's like this massive ball of energy, power packed into this little bite.
So when you're growing, so anyone else who would be growing their various vegetables that you mentioned, instead of you letting it grow into a full sunflower, when the first buds come up, that's when you cut those, like what we would call them, like the little seedlings that you would go then plant. You all eat that. Does it keep growing once you say cut it? Does it start over again, bringing more, or do you have to keep planting it, or?
Yeah, it's definitely in a process that you like grow these little trays
in waves. You do it in waves,
you know, and you can get a couple of flushes, what I call a flush from a tray, because you know, every time that you cut something, it actually grows more. But you also keep replanting fresh seeds, you know, definitely to have the sprouts on a continuous basis.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, how much of a meal do you have? Because I've tried to grow things in those little things, and then you got a little thing in the dirt, and you put it there, and you hope it's going to keep growing when you put it outside in the thing. But it's certainly not enough to make me want to feel like I would have some appetizing meal if I just ate those.
But let me tell you something. You'd be surprised, because when you eat that, you don't need to eat a whole lot, because it's feeding you on a cellular level. So it fills you up in a way that you haven't been filled up before, because we're used to eating empty calories. So we're used to eating big plates of food because the calories are empty. It's a filler. But when you eat real quality food, you really don't need a lot of food to feel sufficient, to feel fulfilled, and to get a burst of energy from that like you wouldn't believe.
And you'd be surprised at the flavor level.
Yeah, how would you prepare that a typical sprout meal?
Sprouts are really simple. My son is gonna go grab a container so you can see the different kind of sprouts. But what I used to do was put a mix of sprouts in there, put avocado in there, right? And kind of mash some of the avocado so it would be creamy, but you would also still have chunks of avocado. You put some salt, some cayenne, some lemon juice, and if you wanted a little bit of olive oil.
Not iodized salt, but like Celtic salt.
Celtic salt or what's that pink salt called? Himalayan salt. Right, non-iodized salt.
Some has minerals.
Right, and we don't typically use a whole lot of black pepper. We do more cayenne. So salt, our pepper is cayenne.
Well, let's touch base real quick on the black pepper, because black pepper has something they call pepperine. And pepperine is very good for the digestive system. Not only does it help with digestion, it also makes the nutrient absorption 300 times more powerful. So
I know they say what is the stuff that we take? Curcumin. What is that stuff?
Turmeric.
And they say take it with pepper, because of the peppermint
Yes,
makes turmeric
yes,
potent.
yes, exactly. Because the pepperine, like cayenne pepper, is a carrier. Just like so, when you take things with cayenne, cayenne's a driver. It takes things and pulls it into the system, helps it circulate through more efficiently, and pepperine increases the value of whatever you're eating almost 300%. So, and pepperine is the isolate. So when you get, and we're not talking about black pepper that's already cracked. So when you buy black pepper, you get peppercorns and get yourself a grinder. You're going to do black pepper and you grind it as you need it. That way the pepper's not oxidized because you're just opening up that pepper shell, which now is just fresh and live. And you can taste the difference in all those type of things. Because anything we open up that is exposed to the air is definitely going to be oxidizing.
I see. Yeah.
So
The big ones and the sprouts. Okay. So if you can see some of the sprouts here. So these purple
these
ones.
are sprouts that you've grown. Sprouts that you've grown. Sprouts, not sprouts. These are the ones. You grow. These are the ones you grow.
Right. These are radish sprouts. And then we have broccoli sprouts here. These smaller ones are broccoli sprouts. And when you smell them and taste them, the carrot sprouts, they actually taste like carrots. The broccoli sprouts taste like broccoli.
yeah.
The radish sprouts taste like radishes. Some of them are a little spicy, you know, they have a nice little kick to them. So when you just mix all of these together and you tie it together with some avocado, and like I said, simple is so tasty. You know, salt, pepper, lime juice or lemon juice, and a little dash of whatever kind of oil that you like.
Yeah, I'm an apple cider vinegar, olive oil guy. So I'll put apple cider vinegar in mine.
So I have another business for you all, right? So those are just what you make for yourselves. Now you could manufacture those, right? And you can send those out to people like myself who don't have a green thumb but wants to have the sprouts.
Absolutely. And these are the sunflower sprouts. But where's the camera? So
Okay.
that's what sunflower. So you can see it's a little bigger than most of the other sprouts, but it's very tasty. And if you took a photograph of that, you would see the energy coming off of it. Because
And you do
one
this
of those
all year round.
Huh?
You grow and harvest all year round.
Yes, you can. And you can do it indoors. You can do it in your garage. So yes, you can do it all year round.
And you don't need much light. You can get like some LED. They have these LED tray lights that go underneath the rack. So we have a 6-foot rack where you can put like 5 to 6 trays per rack with a light underneath. And they don't require much. We give it a lot of love and energy. However, it doesn't really require a big green thumb because the seeds already have the information. They know what they need to do. And as long as the conditions are right, they just do their thing.
That's so good. It has a natural sweetness to it. The sunflower sprouts, all of them.
You're just eating one sprout.
Just one sprout. I feel it. The
Yeah.
flavor
The
and the
flavor.
energy is incredible.
You're getting enzymes. You're getting the enzymatic action for your digestive system. So they go through real nice and smooth. They turn into power and energy in your body instead of just like bulking up. Because the body doesn't digest whole food. So when I say whole food, it means food just hasn't been chewed up properly. So the body really digests liquid, right? So when food goes down into the stomach, it turns into chyme, right? That's what needs to leave the stomach in order for the food to even be absorbed by the small intestine, which is supposed to pull up all the nutrients. But a lot of people, and this is why we really talk about detoxification and cleansing, because no matter how good you're eating, if you can't get the old stuff out from your inner digestive system, you don't absorb that nutrition into the bloodstream, because the walls of the small intestine are all gummed up with mucus, old fecal matter that's been there for 10, 15, 20 years. It's hardened.
So I just want to interject something right there, because that came up in my meditation just yesterday morning, and I was sharing it with the sister. You gotta let go of the old in order to make room for the new. And people, they want to make changes and they start eating different and they're wondering why they're not seeing any different. because they haven't gotten rid of the years of old stuff that's already in there, but they're putting new stuff on top of the old funky stuff. You get what I'm saying? You gotta let go of the old in order to make room for the new. And that's what cleansing is about.
So for someone who is not in your area, vicinity, and wants to go through a detoxification process, do you work with, have the herbs and so forth that you can either recommend or send to someone who wants to do a cleansing?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We're like we're coaches. Not only, we're not just here to sell products, we're also here to coach people, because it's not about relying on me or Umi to take care of yourself. It's about teaching people how to take care of themselves, so that no matter what happens after our interaction, whether we remain or not, you can still go on maintaining your own health, taking responsibility for your health, and helping somebody else.
That's right. Anyone who loves you is always going to turn you back to yourself and not make you dependent on them. If you have someone that's making you dependent on them for information or for a word or what to do, that's not helping you. Like, the word says, teach a man to fish. It's all about helping you learn how to help yourself, because it's all in us.
That's true. And if you want to become the expert and the only, you're setting yourself up for being just totally drained, because unless you can spread that knowledge to others so that they can share the load,
That's right.
and your body and your mind and your spirit is can experience overload when you don't
That's right.
give it to others so that they can share the burden. I don't want to call it burden, but the load of spreading that knowledge. And that's good. And that's good that you all, your family work together with with your children. They too are a part of what you're doing. So that, that is legacy.
Yes.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is that it's all easy. It's very simple. Anyone who makes this sound or feel complicated, just run, because being healthy, there's nothing difficult to health. Health is simple. God is simple. Allah is simple. Everything that is good and that is worth doing is simple. We complicate things that don't need to be complicated. There's nothing complicated to health.
Well, and for me, that goes back to the habits, right? Because a lot of the foods that are being consumed by families are what they were bred on or what they were raised on. And,
or how they were taught to
right,
cook or prepare food.
Right.
Absolutely.
And there's emotional events that took place that are tied to certain meals.
Gotta have the cookout.
Right. Gotta have
Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, whatever it is.
Because we're used to it, So that sometimes I find is the emotional issue where people have a problem letting go, because it's like, oh, I've been eating that for 15 years, and my mom used to make it, and we all sat down, and it's like, yeah, that's great, it's fantastic, that's the past.
And they all passed away with diabetes
right.
and heart disease, and we're not thinking about that part,
So that's not. So when they say it's hereditary, to me it's not hereditary. It's the food is passed down.
That's right.
You're eating the same things that you were raised on, and your parents had, and the reason that for me that the ailments or the disease shows up, that's when we start talking about tissue integrity, right? So in everybody's body, there's different levels of tissue integrity.
Inherent weaknesses.
Right, inherent weaknesses, exactly. Mm-hmm. So that inherent weakness is the same toxicity. However, if your inherent weakness is in your kidneys, it's going to show up as diabetes or kidney disease.
Failure, right.
If your inherent weakness is in the circulatory system, or depending, it could
might be a brain tumor,
right? Wherever that inherent weakness is, and the difference with tissue integrity, when we talk about that, is looking at a silk cloth. When you look at a silk cloth, it's very tight and woven together. So I do iridology. Right. So when I'm doing iridology and I take a microscope and I look into your eye, I can see the different tissue integrity in your body. So when I see a loose point, it's more like looking like burlap. So if you took like a burlap bag and you saw how stretchy and open it is, that would be an indication of a weak tissue integrity or inherent weakness place in the body that disease or disease could roll up in there, or toxicity could go up in there, because that place has space to accommodate whatever is coming onto you. However, it's the same exact disease, just like Dr. Sadis is saying, right? It's the same cause. It's just showing up with a different name. That's all it is. And they'll label it different names, but it's all the same. So once you get that stuff out of you, everything starts to become better. Everything starts to restore. So it's just amazing. People will clean their car all their lives and make sure it's pristine, but we never take the time to sit down and just clean our bodies out.
That's something.
You know, we'll wax and polish, and you know, to keep that outer condition looking good. You know, and however, what happens in our bodies when we take that same mentality of cleaning the outside of the car and we turn it internal and we clean the internal, guess what? Then your outer being starts to shine.
Oh yes.
Just like the way you polish and wax that car, because health starts from the inside and it works its way outward, and then your skin starts to glow. Your eyes start to get brighter. You know, you can turn gray hair back to its natural color, because it's only due to the excess peroxides that are being created through the liver conditions that are causing, and they label it as aging, so we accept it. However, to me, it's not the truth at all, because I've seen so many different things change once we detox the body. I've just seen miracles happen. It's just amazing. And I actually, I'd done several, like what we call liver flushes, and I think I started one of them in like 2018. So I was amazed because I was having some challenges myself, right? You know, I'm eating good, I'm doing this. I've done 40-day fasts, and we've gotten black stuff out of our bodies and all this. And, you know, like tarry stuff, we took pictures of that too, and documented it, but I don't have those with us today. However, I know that we were pretty clean. So I was having some hair loss, and what else was happening?
Joints
Yeah, I was seeing a little joint stiffness and stuff like that. And the spirit just led me to looking at the liver. And the livers and the kidneys are one thing that I didn't detox like directly. You know, I didn't go and say, like, no, let me just deal with this organ, because I got the colon straight, but I didn't go and deal with the organ.
That's right.
So I started doing some studies, and I found that a liver flush. And one of the liver flushes I did, like, I'll put this up here. I passed. See the size of those are gallstones.
Oh,
All right, if you can see,
all stones.
there's that big ones, and there's those small ones.
Wow. Those, it looks like crystals.
Yes.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
And I mean, I could
So
show
this
you.
came out in your bowel, or yeah,
yes.
Yes.
And over a period of time, and you keep passing thousands and thousands and thousands of them. So I mean, they're in there. So you can imagine.
Like, this is one of the ones even prior to that, right? So if you can see in that picture.
A little bit closer.
Well, let me spread it up a little bit too. So in that picture right there, this is what I caught in the toilet. And if you can see that white ring that's going through there,
yes,
those are crystals that came out of my kidneys.
Wow.
So that was decrystallizing my kidneys, and all the other ones are coming from my liver. And I've probably done 15 to 16 to 17 different flushes, and it's gotten progressively less. So your liver is one of the biggest organs in the body besides the skin. So a lot of the things that we deal with as so-called disease is conditions of the liver. So I decided to write down some of the things, and I'm just going to run through these as quickly as possible. It's quite a bit. But when the liver bile ducts become congested and the kidneys become congested, and we're being treated for all these symptoms, a lot of times it's really just your liver. So this list starts, you know, and what I would like family to do is only think about when you were a child as well, not just what's been happening recently, but even because I started meditating on when I was a child, like having excessive sweating. I wouldn't never condition it my liver or anything like that. I had a lot of little things going on when I was a child. Then my mother, was feeding me a lot of sugar. So I got a good amount of mountain fillings in my mouth, which is another slow poisoning. but we'll get into that. So without going too far off the mark here, I'm just going to go through this list and I'll read it pretty slow. All right. So one of the things that when the bile ducts are obstructed, you could be dealing with is low appetite, food cravings, digestive disorders, diarrhea, constipation, clay-colored stool, hernia, flatulence, hemorrhoids, dull pain on the right side, difficulty breathing, liver cirrhosis, hepatitis, most infections, high cholesterol, pancreatitis, heart disease, brain disorders, dual dental ulcers, nausea and vomiting, a bilious or angry personality. Okay, wow. Depression, impotence, other sexual problems, prostate diseases, urinary problems, hormonal imbalances, menstrual and menopausal disorders, problems with vision, puffy eyes, any skin disorder like having moles or some type of fungus growing in you or blemishes, liver spots, especially those on the back of the hands and facial area, dizziness and fainting spells, loss of muscle tone, excessive weight or wasting, strong shoulder and back pain, which a lot of people have shoulder and back pain and they go to the doctor and they end up having some type of surgery, whereas that's not the issue, okay? Pain at the top of a shoulder blade and or between the shoulder blades, dark color under the eyes, morbid complexion, a tongue that is glossy or coated in white or yellow, scoliosis, gout, frozen shoulder, stiff neck, asthma, headaches and migraines, tooth and gum problems, yellowness of the eyes and skin, sciatica, numbness and paralysis of the legs, joint diseases, knee problems, osteoporosis, obesity, chronic fatigue, kidney diseases, cancer, multiple sclerosis and fibromyalgia, Alzheimer's disease, cold extremities, excessive heat and perspiration in the upper part of the body, very greasy hair and hair loss, cuts or wounds that keep bleeding and don't want to heal, difficulty sleeping, which is insomnia, nightmares, stiffness of joints and muscles, hot and cold flashes. That's a pretty long list that we would end up going to allopathy for and getting a treatment of some type of drug or something to cut the signal or the alarm to make us think that that thing is healed or it's gone away. However, just by cleansing the body, any of those things can be rectified and turned around. And there's so much more.
Liver, is that liver flush? Do you make that available for clients that want to? Somebody said, let me see, let me go back here. I think Blissing said we ought to do she says, Dr. G, we should do a cleansing challenge and check in with each other every other Tuesday. I guess because there's the same ones that come on all the time that folks might want to, cleanse and see how they're doing. But do you offer a prepared set of herbs and procedures and steps that one can take in order to do, say they wanted to start with the liver flush or the colon detox? Which one do you recommend first?
Okay, so with that being said, you don't want to start flushing the liver until the colon is actually clean and flowing, right? Because what will happen is you'll end up getting a backup and you can have what's called a healing crisis or become pretty ill because it's a great amount of toxins and they need to have a gateway where they're flowing out. So what we do is we start everybody definitely with clean the colon out. However, in the interim, in order to reduce the size of the stones, and I can show you pictures of, I made a couple of different mixes that actually help reduce the size of the stones because the earlier picture, you saw how big one of those stones were. Mm-hmm. Well, by taking like malic acid, all right, so or someone can start drinking like tart cherry juice, not sweet cherry juice, but tart cherry juice. Tart cherry juice has a great amount of malic acid in it. Cranberry juice, not sugar cranberry juice, not ocean spray, raw cranberries, all right, which is going to be very bitter because it doesn't have any sugar, but it has malic acid in it. We also have extracts of something called chanca piedra, which is a Amazonian herb that's gathered, and we get that in 2-ounce and 4-ounce bottles that we put people on and they start taking that. That's also to reduce the size of the stones, so that while you're drinking water, cleaning out the colon, you're starting to get yourself prepared to get rid of those stones and have them pass even more in an easier rate.
Yes.
Because they're not as big anymore.
Right.
And I can show you other pictures that I've done that have that. And I've filled up a toilet bowl. And
Little
tiny stones.
Because they were broken up.
Like this one. Like this, yeah. This
Oh,
picture
wow,
right here.
yes. Look at that.
So that was,
those are stones. Oh my.
yeah, there's just so many.
They're so tiny.
And they're so small. If I could blow the picture up, you would see. And I have pictures where I've actually stuck my hand in this stuff, okay? And videos that I've taken.
Hard?
Well, after the malic acid gets to them, and the different ones, depends if they're oxalic in nature or calcified in nature. But when the malic acid gets it softens them up, because our body doesn't pass anything hard, right? It likes to pass soft stuff. So I would say no. They're very they turn buttery almost. And I've got videos and things that I've taken where I've actually pulled up in my hand, and filmed it and showed, which I'm going to post on YouTube soon. My son's getting that ready, where you'll actually see that they're all individual stones. And I think that was maybe maybe flush 15 or 16.
When you say flushes, how long a period are you detoxing to get to count for a flush?
Every 3 weeks. I started out with every 4 weeks. And as I got better at it, then I started doing it every 3 weeks, and then I started doing it every 12 days. And
this is not what the average person does. I just need to let you know. This is Dr. Arhk. This is what Dr. Arhk does. This is not what we would have the average person do, because usually it's about 6 weeks between each flush. All right? Especially when you're getting started. Dr. Arhk's been doing this for years. So that's a little different what he's telling you.
And what I realized when I got into this is that some of the things I was dealing with symptom-wise were things I had when I was a child. So the issue didn't just start, in the last 10 years or 15. It actually started when I was, 7, 8 years old. Especially on that list, there was excessive sweating. And when I was thinking about it, I recalled, I was an avid basketball player. But I would soak up my clothes, man. I'd go play a game, and it just seemed crazy. I mean, I was like putting buckets of water, and I remembered that. And I was like, wow, that was unusual. I thought it was normal at the time because I didn't, I was a child. However, I attribute that because that's changed, because I play racquetball, I play basketball, and I don't sweat like that anymore. And we were playing racquetball probably like 6, 7 years ago before I did any of this flushing. And I was sweating the same way that it was when I was a child. I'd bring 2 sets of clothes to the racquetball court because I was putting puddles of water on the floor. I had to bring a towel on the court and everything.
Had to wear double headbands.
Yeah. I was like, yo, I'm sopping wet when I would finish, wrap myself in towels just to leave and go home. And since I started doing those flushes and I got that straight, I didn't sweat like that anymore. So I definitely, know that there's a lot to it. My hair was turning gray. It started turning back around. My locks are probably down to my back, but on the top, I was getting thinned out, but I didn't realize that. Now my hair is starting to grow back again. It changed colors. Just so many different things just started changing. And I still feel like I need to do more flushing until I actually do a flush and I don't see anything else come out. So, yeah, it's just being a consistent basis and taking your time with yourself, because none of this stuff happened overnight. Mm-hmm. So we can't have the mentality that it's a drive-through and that there's a quick fix. You get in there.
1 or 2 cleanses will do it.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Because it's a lifestyle. It's how I live now. It's not something I'm just going to go do it and then go back to doing whatever I was doing before. Which is kind of like, I gave a lady an analogy the other night when we were talking. So I said, if we were standing behind each other and we both had shovels, okay, and I wanted to dig a hole. So every time I take a scoop of dirt out and throw it to dig the hole, you take a scoop of dirt and throw it back in the hole. So every time I go back to dig again, I'm I didn't go anywhere. I didn't do anything. And I equated that to changing your food or changing diet. So in other words, if you're eating a very acidic diet and taking all these acidic foods, but you want to detox, basically what you're doing, yeah, you're starting the detox process and you're going to get some results. However, you're still throwing dirt back in the hole, back in the hole. So for me, it requires the whole mentality of, you know what, I'm going to go at this. And anybody can sit back and say, oh, this doesn't work, or that's not going to happen, or whatever. Until you actually engage yourself and do it, you're not going to know. So, you know, I thought it was a little outlandish, even though I'm an extremist. I do things way over the top. I'll take it all the way through. I'm a go get it. You know, Nike guy, wait, just do it. You know, I just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, we're night and day. He's that, and I'm 1 degree of change.
Yeah, I'm extreme. I'll flip overnight and just stop this or stop that. If I decide that I don't want this anymore, that's it. It's just done. You know, ain't no weaning period. I'm just like, I'm not doing that, and I'm good. However, Jazz is the
like that's how I was with cigarettes. When I, believe it or not, I smoked cigarettes, and then one day I was somewhere and I was actually in a session, and I looked at the cigarette and go, and I didn't start smoking until I was about 24. I was in the military, and that was one of the things they would say, light them up. Then they go, put it out. And then you had to make sure you didn't, drop a lot of butts, because then you got butt patrol. That's where I started smoking. So when I came home, it was like I was holding a cigarette one day, and I said, what am I doing? I don't want this. And the guy was there. He's like, you don't want the cigarette? I was like, no, I don't want the cigarette. I gave him the cigarette. I had a carton. I gave him the carton. And now I'm the worst person when it comes to cigarettes. I hate, ever since then, it's been over, close. It's probably been 40 some years. And I quit. I never picked up a cigarette again.
I'll tell you that reminds me of, I think one time I was in high school, and the kids, like, we cut class or whatever, and they wanted back of the staircase, and that's what they do. They were smoking and whatever, and somebody offered me a cigarette, and I was like, okay, and I went to inhale the cigarette. Oh my Lord! It like took my breath away, choked me out, or whatever. And that was it for me. I was like, whatever's in that is not for me at all. I smoke other things, but that ain't happening. That's a no-no. Yeah, so I feel you, to get rid of that's got to be a relief.
So anybody who wants to, even though it says get rainbow water here, but if they want to talk to you all about detoxing or any other consultation, is there a contact information, a place where they can put their information when they go to your site, so that you'll know what it is they're reaching out to you for, or is it just for water, this site?
Well, go ahead.
When you go to the website, you can book a consultation. I think the smallest is a 1 hour, just a general consultation is $55. And you will get a wealth of knowledge during that time. And then there are 2 other rounds of consultations that you can book, and we will just assist with whatever it is that you need assistance with, walk you through it, and point you to yourself, point you to the way. And we will be there as coaches to assist. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns along the way, we'll be there.
Yeah, and I want to add, like, what happens when there's a consultation, it's more tuned in, direct, because your higher physician is open. So I am empathic, so I am able to, as long as you're open, I'm able to tap into your higher physician, and I do hear things that you're not saying. So we're able to touch on a lot of deeper points, whereas you could have had an argument, maybe, even as a child, or have some kind of hatred issue or unforgiveness going on with somebody, or holding a grudge against this or that. So a lot of times it ends up going a lot deeper, which is all health. However, it ends up touching on abundance, if there's any lack, because a lot of times if there's lack in finances, it's also connected to the health. We're all intertwined. There's no separation in any vibration that's going on within us. So we're really talking about holistically talking, and everybody's not the same. So, I was saying that we're all looking for certain products, which is what allopathy taught us, or what the industry has taught us. Like St. John's Wort or CoQ10, and go grab this and go get vitamin E, and however, it's more personalized for helping you be the best you that fits your lifestyle as well. So if you have a certain type of job where they don't want you going to the bathroom, I wouldn't want to give you something that's going to send you to the bathroom where everything's flushing out.
Right,
so
because there's lots of different ways to cleanse.
Exactly.
There's no one way to peel that tomato.
So and we teach ourselves to be constipated through those things where some of us have issues going to the bathroom in public places where we want to hold it and just wait till we get to the house or somewhere we can sit. And what you're doing is you're training yourself to be constipated.
That's right.
Because the call of nature and the peristalsis that's taking place, it wants to evacuate. However, you are the god or the king of your temple. So once you say, we're not going, I'm going to hold it, then you're training the body to be constipated. And that may have been something you were doing, for years and not even realized it because it was comfortable.
Because you never wanted to go at work. You always wanted to wait till you got home. I heard a lot of people say that.
Well, dirty
and then I do know people who actually, when they go, they want to be totally nude. So they can't even.
That too, yes.
They got dressed. I'm like, I'm like, I gotta go. But I get it. I get it.
So,
because I get it. Anybody knows that, the stuff we don't talk about, but you go in a public place and you go in there's no one in there but you. And then you hear the door opens and somebody else comes and you just get ready to let it go. And now you're holding it because you don't want to make the sound that it makes when it goes.
Right, exactly.
Then you're trying to figure out, I know we have the gross conversation, y'all, but then you're sitting there trying to figure out, well, maybe I can put some toilet paper in there. And so when it falls, but in the meantime, your body's going, let me out. I need to get stuff out of you. So, but we have these, and then I think to myself, well, that's what the heck we go to the bathroom for, to either do one or two. So you get in there, it's a private thing for most of us. You want to, you want the privacy of this. It's just you, and it's almost like it's discourteous, if that's a word, because you're going to, invade their, here's the thing. We're going to invade their nostrils, but we wouldn't if we ate properly, would we?
Right.
That's correct.
Exactly. So with me, like, hey, I've come to the point of if I have the flatulence or whatever's going to happen, well, if you're in the room, you're going to be part of that event.
And I tell you, he blows loud, but it doesn't smell. And there was a day when what they call it, silent but deadly, where my farts were very silent, but they were very pungent. But even that has changed. Now, when's the last time you smelled? I
haven't really heard you fart.
So, so things change.
Is it more proper to say
fart, poop? I don't know what the difference is. It's all part of nature. It happens. But, the thing is that as we grow and change, our bodies grow and change. I remember there was a time where I didn't sweat, and that wasn't normal. And then as my body changed, I got to the place where I sweat in a more normal way, not excessively, but just normally, where my gaseous eliminations were very pungent. And now that is no longer the case. So definitely, everything is a process and it all comes full circle.
Wow. There's some questions here. Are you all open for some questions?
Absolutely. Bring them on.
Okay. Let me. Here was one. I'm going back up. How do you grow radish/sunflower sprouts in the winter indoors?
Well, you're indoors, so the winter has nothing to do with it. Yes.
Yeah, indoors. So you control the environment. You could create the conditions by having a humidifier, a small heater in the room. you're misting your own water. You control the lights. The lights are on timers. So basically, you become nature, and as long as the plants are in their cycle, they'll do their thing because they already have that information. So that's pretty simple.
They have the genetic code inside of them. They know what to do.
All right. Well, here's more. Next question is, what kind of herbs and diet do you recommend for a detox? I guess you said that there's different ones for different situations. It depends.
Yeah.
So I would think that they would need to have a consultation and find out what it is they need specifically.
Right. Are you working? Are you home? Are you someone that doesn't mind bitter stuff, or do you have an issue with the taste of things? So all of those things are things that play a factor. Some people don't mind the taste of whatever, as long as they know it's good for them, they'll take it. That's like me. I don't care what it tastes like. If I know it's going to help me, I'm knocking it back. You know, other people, they can't stand this and they can't stand that. So you have to tailor whatever it is so that the individual is successful.
So yeah, are you willing to do enemas? Because that's to speed the process up and help yourself, which is another private thing that you would do in the bathroom by getting on all fours, and that's an economic way as opposed to like the Klima board that we talked about the last time we were on the show, which is probably in the range of about $300. You can get a 4-quart enema bag for $20, $25, and you can put different herbs in the bag as well. There's a combination of like magnesium oxide, citric acid that I make in capsules that you can use, which would liquefy old fecal matter. You can use Cascara sagrada.
You can do something as simple as Arm & Hammer baking soda.
Right.
You can do a baking soda flush. You can do a salt water flush.
Marshmallow root. There's so
about
many.
Castor oil packs?
Oh
Absolutely.
my God! Oh yes!
That's awesome.
Yes.
We're working on getting that in multitudes because we believe in that so much. We've been dealing with that just the last 2 days, trying to finding the cloth to make them.
Yes, castor oil is called the Palma Christi,
Palma de
or
Christi.
the Hand of Christ. And
Right.
by doing that castor oil pack and putting saran wrap and a towel and a heating pad, which is totally relaxing. The castor oil is a driver, so it's able to penetrate all 7 layers of the skin, get down the organ, break down stones, take away inflammation, and bring overall healing, soothing in the body. Your castor oil packs are amazing. That's
Very
amazing
healing.
thing to do. Especially if you want to get some immediate relief from dealing with, like, say, kidney pain or something of that nature. That castor oil pack will go in there and make a big difference. Big difference.
I think I have all of the things to do it. I just don't know what to do. I mean, the heating pads, the wraps, the castor oil, the cloth stuff, the saran wrap. I even got a thing that's specifically supposed to be a castor oil, thing that goes around. I was like, I don't know what to do. So
I'll type out all the protocols for it and email it to you. And one thing that you definitely want to do is you want to get either like a garbage bag or an old towel to put underneath you, because castor oil stains. So what happens is it's very thick when you put it into the actual cloth. That's why you want to be careful how much you saturate it. Once it starts to warm up, it gets runny. So it can stain like bed sheets and things of that nature. So you definitely put something underneath you that you really don't care about.
Towel, right, that you don't care about, and some kind of plastic between you and your bed or your sheets.
And play some relaxing music, put some candles on, some aromatherapy, whether it be incense or some other fragrance that you enjoy. You can put on headphones and listen to binaural beats for healing, because bodies are all attuned to frequencies. So there's a whole host of different binaural beats, and that's binaural beats, which is you can find them on YouTube.
Free.
Free. Yeah, these are all free things to do, and you can do that every night as well when you go to sleep. And another thing is programming yourself when you go to sleep. So when you lay down and relax in the bed, the last thought that you have is the first thought you'll wake up with, and you'll basically program the subconscious mind to work on your behalf. So you can go to sleep and start saying, that my body is perfect in every way. I have healing energy going through every organ in my body. All my cells are regenerating at a massive rate. Whatever it is that you want to tune into,
Yes.
you go ahead and you feed that to the subconscious mind, drop it in there,
Yep.
and it will begin to work miracles in your body.
Absolutely.
And even bring truth to you. Say there's hidden secrets. I don't know if anybody believes in past lives, okay, or that we keep recycling around here. However, a lot of the things that can be dealing with actually go beyond this life. They go to when you had another existence. And we used to do a lot of pendulum work. And we went to one of the
too.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we went to one of the workshops one time, and there was a master pendulum guy in the room, and he was talking, and he asked if anybody had pain or whatever. And Jazz said, "Yeah, I got a stabbing pain. The left shoulder, right?"
Yes, I had a pain at a spot right between my shoulder blades. And I would go to the masseuse, and there was always a knot there that she had to work out in that one space. Go ahead.
Oh, just real quick. Can I? Yeah, look at homie over there. Let me see how I can.
Okay.
He's walking on his hands.
Oh wow. Okay. I can barely walk on my feet.
Yeah, he's awesome. So
I always have a pendulum or two in my purse.
hey, that's the same pendulum we have.
Is that
I
amethyst?
have about 6 of them, but this is one of my.
So
I like
anyway,
holding the. I like holding the beads on this one. It's very, 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 soothing, and it just does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you can ask it questions.
Yeah, like I'll say, is today Tuesday? And it said yes. Look at it, and then I'll say, is today Friday? Look, it
And I
stopped.
say
It was the
no.
other way. No, see, I love this thing. Oh, it's told me some things. It has told me some deep things that have been confirmed over the
Yeah.
years. Yes,
So
I love it.
So the gentleman was able to take the pendulum and actually narrow down a past life of Jazz's, and said that she was stabbed in the back.
I was killed.
He was killed
At
by
that place. Yeah, absolutely.
And he used the pendulum to unwind that event.
And that pain has never been there since that.
Now, see,
And
I
it
haven't
was
learned
there
how
for
to
years.
use it to undo anything, and that's the part. I can use it. I have questions. Then I also have a sheet. I mean, like a velvet, sort of velvet color sheet with different things on it that it'll go to. If you hold it over it. But I've never used it to undo. So I found out some things, some real deep things,
Absolutely.
and but I've never. I'd love to learn how to use it to clean up things that might need to be, like you said.
Absolutely. You can use it to add things by spinning it clockwise, or to remove things by spinning it counterclockwise.
So that's
You
just
just
intention. That's with intention when you hold
exactly.
it over. I got you.
Exactly.
So okay, yeah. Because I love my pendulum. I have one. I have most of them are in my bedroom, but I have one that has a clay dish that goes with it, and it has no, yes, and then it's clay as opposed to any of the metals, which is really good because it doesn't, it's not conducting my energy much at all because of the pendulum is even clay, made out of like a clay. So because there's conductivity in the metal between your hands and this, and you also have some of the things that you in your own thoughts, sometimes you can influence it, but I don't move it. I clear my mind. I ask the question and I just wait to see what it says. You know what I mean? But yeah, I love pendulum work. And I know some people that might say, oh, but it has actually brought me revelation. And then months later, the very thing that it told me it was confirmed.
Yes, because and some people might think this is a little hokey or whatever. However, this is our science. This is our lineage and our science. All these things, whether it be Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese herbs, whatever, all came from us. Because we're the original people here. We had, if you think about where we live in North Carolina, the counties the city's called Charlotte, which was Queen Charlotte. Queen Charlotte was a Moor and melanated, and she was a healer. And we're in Mecklenburg County, which Mecklenburg, when I did studies, was a German that came over here that married Queen Charlotte because he was so sickly, and he came to her for healing, and they ended up coming together. So, all these sciences that we're talking about, pendulums and energy work, all come from us. So it's nothing for us to fear at all. It's something for us to embrace as our culture, because our culture has been taken from us, so we don't really know the power of what we have available to us, because we control nature with our mouths, our thoughts, and our ideas, and nature is us. We are nature. So with that, I guess I yield for.
Well, there's a question that whether or not you all have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, we're actually getting ready to launch the YouTube channel. It's going to be different variations of pictures on here, because everything that we've done healing wise, I've documented, I've videoed, I've taken pictures, I've explained things, and we're going to get that all posted up very soon. And then there'll be instructions, because it's not even about like purchasing anything from us. It's more about giving direction for even things that you can find naturally just where you're at. And there's certain things that I produce or we make that will be beneficial, then that's fantastic as well. However, a lot of people, I direct them. I'll even do the research sometimes and look at different stores in their area to tell them that they can go get this or they can go get that in order just to save some money, but so they can get the healing that they want. And then kind of stand in the back and just be the coach, and guide them through. And if there's something adverse going on that you don't understand, or maybe you're detoxing too fast, and you create a healing crisis or something like that, because everything's working for your greatest and highest good at all times. There's nothing that's not happening that's positive. So even if you generate a healing crisis, it just means you're eliminating toxins fast and you're going to get better faster. Absolutely. And your body is actually happy. It's like, it's really, because you gave it a gateway, you gave it opportunity, because it's been holding on to the toxins and keeping them in fat tissue and storing them just to protect you. But when you give it the opportunity to release, oh man, sometimes it's just like, oh my God, there's a gateway. Everybody out. We don't have to shit no more. We got our goal.
Well, here's the question. MW says, can dandelion, vervain, and other herbs be used with foods to stimulate the liver, flush out these toxins, or is it necessary to omit the food?
I'm an omit person. However, dandelion is fantastic. That's
dandelion greens.
Yeah, dandelion greens
are really good.
Dandelion tea. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all that is very, very good for reducing and removing stones and giving what we call a downward inflammation into those organs as well. It's very, very super, very good stuff. However, the foods that, that's like I said, I'm going back to digging that hole again. If you're eating certain things that cause the issue, and even if you just take a break for 6 months or whatever, the food is not going to go anywhere, right? If it's been around for 10, 20, 30 years, you can still have an opportunity to have that food again. However, give your body a break, from processing that stuff, because we're working our bodies, over time. And the body is like, it wants to protect you. So it'll take in the toxins, it'll take it. However, you may sacrifice your eyesight. You may sacrifice joint pain. You may sacrifice beautiful skin or hair loss. Of course, you don't want to give up some kind of food that you have some type of attachment to. But if you just kind of break the habit of it, you'll actually find once you start getting into the cleansing process that you won't go back to the food. And when you do go back, that you think you want it, because your mind might tell you, have a craving or whatever, and you eat it, you'll feel the difference that it makes in your body, and you'll feel the taste of it, and you may just be like, oh my God, what have I been eating? Because now that you become more alkaline, your mouth, your taste buds, which is basically digestion starts with the eyes, then once it hits the mouth and the 5 points in there, those communication signals is what's telling the stomach what to prepare in order to digest what you're getting ready to consume. And you may get those signals where, I don't know, for me, I've gotten to the point where my body's so clean, I can walk up to certain foods and I will feel the vibration of the food and know that's not for me.
Yeah.
You know, and that could even be something organic or whatever, but my body would be like, nah, you don't want that.
It's
Because
happened to me before.
that aura, just like we was talking about the Krillian photography, we have an aura, right? So that aura is a life force, and anything that enters your aura is almost, it's like it's in your body. So if we would do kinesiology and we started testing you, muscle testing you,
Muscle
strength
testing.
wise, right? And I can get you to hold like a cell phone or a bottle of Coke or Sprite or something like that, and your body will immediately go weak. Okay, if I give you a good bottle of water,
Your
you'll feel the
water.
difference. Yeah.
I did that to my cousin yesterday with the water, and just basically just regular water, and then did my thing that I showed you, and the difference, because her hand, I was able to take 2 fingers and then as soon as she drank the water that had been done to it, she just I tried it again, and she was like, her eyes were like, how why can't you? I said, because now you got something good in you. And we had to talk about Deer Park. She said, well, she always getting her son to get Deer Park because that's the good water. I said, Nita, that's not good water. It's just Deer Park. I said, that's one of the lesser waters. And she was like, I said, you might as well get, the same thing for $3.19 from Costco or from whatever when you get that one. And
exactly.
because of the name recognition, that those things, like you said, are better for you, but they're not. And I like the fact that, while you don't have all of the necessary maybe products, you may know the things that are needed. So you're not going to say, well, no, if you can't get it from me, you can't get it. You're going to help the client who calls you get whatever they can, the best they can, closer to where they are if need be, so that they can consistently
That's correct.
do. And that's good, and you would handle the coaching part. So that's, and that's good because you have experience. You are, you're living witnesses to what this stuff does. And so, yeah, so that's great.
Yeah, because we actually care about people and them living. And that's what's more our life mission as Temple Restoration, is to just help people get restored, because when people are happy, it just generates happiness all over the planet and makes other people happy, deeper smiles, more prosperity and abundance. Because I think when you have pain in your body or dis-ease in any way, you have trouble being happy because you're tolerating, pain or suffering in some kind of way. And to me, pain and suffering is an illusion. It's just a matter of a habit that might have created it. However, once the habit is eradicated and the new habit forms, it doesn't exist anymore. So kind of like, to me, like believing in Santa Claus, like when I was a child, like my parents told me, oh, here's a little fat guy, he comes down the chimney with a bag of toys, he's gonna leave under this blinking tree for you, you leave some cookies and milk.
How about all of us that had no chimneys and we never thought about
that? Like, how's he getting in the house?
How did he get in the house? I mean, I remember my uncle took me down the basement and showed me all the packages, and my mother was so upset. But I was glad he broke the illusion. You know what I mean?
Right.
It helped me, and then I picked it up when I had children until I think my youngest was about 10, and he's 40, almost 41 now. And I was like, no more of this. And we're not doing this. We're not doing this because this isn't real. And I'm like, and you tell people the truth. Tell us the truth. We've been lied to enough, even as adults. But we lied to the children, even the sugar. We give our children the sugar. If we never gave it to them, they would never miss it because they've never had it. But we participate in getting them addicted to this drug called sugar. You know what I mean? And I remember when old folks used to say, they didn't say they had diabetes, they had the sugar.
The sugar. That's
right. Exactly. Right.
They had the sugar diabetes. They had sugar diabetes, but they knew that the sugar had messed them up, but yet they continued to consume the sugar.
Right. Exactly. And I think that came down to not having a choice, or not even knowing, like I could do something different, because choice is what changes our lives. And most people didn't know that there's other choices choose, especially our parents, depending on
Like
what.
we use mushrooms as a like sort of a addition to a meat, and then I learned you can use mushrooms and that could be the meat. You know what I mean? You can
Right.
I will take some mushrooms and peppers and onions and the right seasonings and so forth, and I have a meal. It has crunch, or it has texture. It's filling, and
Yes.
it's meat in my mind, and it's what you think it is. You know what I mean? But it
Right.
literally has the same kind of texture, and it does the same thing. Yet you didn't eat any meat. And so when I
Right.
wouldn't think of not eating meat, and I very rarely, I think about it, I very rarely eat meat. There was a time when all I ate was meat, like many of us, but I don't miss it. I mean, I may have, a soup or something, or I'm eating something that's a plant based, but I don't miss meat like that.
Yeah, I can tell you the same thing. I was the rib king. I'd get that couple slabs of them bad boys, make a brine because I can burn, or I get steak and I made this coffee topping, and I'd be a perfectionist, man. To go eat that big hunk of meat and
Swine.
be like, thought it was good. That was all good. So yeah, we've all been there. And then chicken. Don't forget about that. We did something in the Morris school when we did with the class on turkeys and chicken and how they're processed, and just watching that demonstration that healed me from any thoughts of having any kind of chicken or any of that nonsense. I mean, and not to say it's in the Caribbean, they eat, like Jazz is Barbadian, my family is Jamaican, and they raise chickens. However, the way they do animals down there is not like it's done here. So everything there is the same day. If they're going to eat meat or whatever, the cow or goat or whatever is slaughtered or processed that morning and consumed the same day. It's not something that was consumed in a factory, shipped over to
Yes.
wherever, put in packages and kept
Shot with some some dye to make it look like it's still fresh or something.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to take the grain out of it because it's oxidized.
It's already it was dead from the get. And I want to get this question in from Madudi. As Sekam L, he says, what can we use to remove metals from our bodies? And I'm not sure whether he means like toxic metals,
heavy metals.
Yes.
metals. Yes.
Yes, and I just want to say before Ark addresses removing them, I want to just allude to where they come from. So one thing that we do, most things on the shelf are enriched. So if you take the time to look at the label, when something is enriched, it adds iron, niacin, thiamine, and riboflavin, those four things. And when it adds iron, it's adding it in a metallic state. So it's literally iron filings. It's not the type of iron that's bioavailable to us. So those heavy metals come from additives in the food. And iron is like a major offender of that.
Wow.
And so, people see that, especially cereals. Cereals is a big thing that is enriched and fortified. When it says it's fortified, that's even worse because that just means they got more metal in there for you. And you can look at different YouTube channels where they actually put flakes of cereal in water or milk and they pull them around with a magnet, or they'll take the flakes and dissolve them in water and put a magnet on top of the bag. And you can see all of the iron filings that come to the surface to this magnet. So they're literally putting metals in our food. So you never want to eat anything that's enriched. So it's really a good idea to try to cut that out. And you'll find that will limit a lot of the processed foods that you have because so many things are enriched. But go ahead, tell them how to get it out.
Okay, well, there's different alchemies that I could turn somebody on to do that. However, there's also foods you can use, right? So cilantro leaf is good for removing heavy metals. Chlorophyll is good for removing heavy metals. Chaga mushrooms are good for removing heavy metals. Alfalfa is good for removing heavy metals. Other mushrooms, reishi is good for removing heavy metals.
Nettle is good, right?
Yeah, nettles. There's also an herb that a lot of people don't get hold of. It's called cleavers. Cleaver's herb is not only good for removing heavy metals, but it's also good for reducing stones and the kidneys and the liver as well.
I had
And
cleavers growing in my yard. I took a picture of, the plant thing, and there was cleavers in my yard like last summer before last. I had all this strange stuff, and cleavers was growing there.
Most of the things we call, what do they call it, that we have growing out here?
Weeds.
That's good stuff, but we call it
weeds.
weeds, right? The things that we call weeds are the things that are actually good to eat.
As long as it hasn't been sprayed with anything.
Right,
If
with pesticides, or it's not by a roadside where it's getting a lot of pollution from cars and things like that.
Yes, because there's yellow dock, usually grows wild. Burdock usually grows wild.
Dandelion is everywhere.
And this is my idea, okay, and the goodness of God that I believe exists. I feel as though when certain weeds show up in your yard, that is the universe saying, "Hey, you need this herb.
This is what you need."
And we'll see it as, oh, my lawn is not perfect. I feel as though like there's wild lettuce that shows up in people's yards. Like I said,
or
dandelion, burdock, yellow dock.
Talking to your liver.
Sometimes you get wild elderberries just showing up around your house. And poke root, yep, poke root. And all those different herbs are good for cleansing out the alimentary canal, digestive system, and again, removing heavy metals and other toxicity.
Put them in your salad, eat them up. Make your own homemade dressing, eat it up.
So yeah, and that's just my thing. So if you see that growing in your yard, there's apps that you can get to identify wild plants, and you can take that app.
It's called Picture This.
Yes.
Yeah, I got it on. It's called Picture This. Yep. And you take a picture right there, and it tells you what that thing is.
That's right.
And I believe that's showing up to serve us, because again, a higher physician already knows what it is that we want or require in order to get us right, and even if we're not paying attention consciously. So sometimes just don't spray the weeds out. Check them out first. If you're in doubt about the thing that's growing there, and you don't want to take it because you might think, oh, it's in my front yard, it's no good. Then go online, find our website, somebody's website where you can order it, and then check the source. Definitely anything you order, all herbs in bottles are not created equal.
Just like water.
Anything you go to, check the source, see where it's coming from. If it's coming from overseas, like China or someplace, a lot of the herbs that come into China are not in the best condition. So if you can get stuff that's grown in the U.S., and any reputable company that's putting out herbs will usually have what's called a white sheet or analysis sheet, and they'll give you all the analysis on that particular batch of herbs that they brought in and what it is, and that it's not gassed or toxic in any way.
It's minimally processed.
Right, it's fully organic or whatever. And make sure you're purchasing the best you can get, and just don't take things because they're cheap. Because normally, you can get what you pay for, and you might see the same thing for $14, and you see the same thing for $46.
I see.
So yeah, so you got to check that out. Just don't go for the price because it's the cheapest thing. Then when you get it, it's not effective. Because they got fillers in there, or they put other things in with the herbs.
It's irradiated.
Right. Yeah, they definitely irradiated it like they do bananas. And that's a whole other story about bananas. Those bananas that we get from Chiquita and all, those ain't bananas, okay? That's a gassed representation of banana. A true banana is full of potassium, magnesium, and they're usually burro bananas.
Burros, the little short fat ones.
Yeah, exactly. They're wide, and they don't taste like so. If you eat a real banana and you've been eating those other bananas all your life, when you eat that real banana, it's going to taste strange to you. It's going to be like, oh my God, because it actually has nutrients in it. It has sulfur in it. It has magnesium in it. It hasn't been gassed. Right, exactly. And those bananas don't deteriorate like those other bananas. You hang them. There's peanut bananas up, they turn black, get spots, and get all mushy
very quickly.
You take a burro banana and you put it up there, it will not do that. I don't care, even if the outside skin starts to get black, it will not turn sugar. It won't just melt
weeks
down
and months.
for weeks. Yeah,
Yes.
it just, and you can still peel it open and eat it with no
For a
problem.
very long time.
Something nutritious. Wow, I'm running my AO scanner thing at the bottom because I just want to say that, for those who are not able to get a scanner for themselves, I do scans, and one of the things that comes up in scans are things like toxicities, food allergies, and various and sundry things. And I think there's probably at least one one individual on the sentient being on this call that had a scan recently, and they know what it does, but it basically will pull up, things that you're allergic to. Because a lot of times you don't know what you're allergic to. You'll also find things like, I think in certain years when we were born, they were putting certain things in vaccines. We were getting the vaccine. We were getting our I'm going to say immunizations. We were getting
Right.
not yeah. So immunizations. I find the people born between 50, like 45, 55, something like that, in that period, they tend to show up with hepatitis B and some of the other different things in their scan. And it's because it's in the age group. And that's why they could do a commercial that says, if you were born between this many people out of this born between this may have hepatitis B or C or something, not know it, because they didn't know we put in your immunization. You know what I mean? And then you have
Right,
the age group where you'll see herpes. It's not that they have
right,
an simplex, and I see it on scans in age groups. It's very interesting. So
yeah,
it's in immunizations, but it actually does show you various things that are going on, toxicities and things like that. Then you could go to someone like Dr. Jazz and Dr. Ark and say, okay, this is showing up. What can I do?
right, exactly. And the what do you call it? What was I gonna say? As far as your vaccinations go, Allah gave us a natural vaccine, and most people don't understand that their urine um, is a natural vaccine, and you can make a vaccine out of your urine that you can put under your tongue. It'll do the same thing, but much better and more efficiently
Absolutely.
than any synthetic vaccine that you can make up. And you can do that on a daily basis by making a eyedropper bottle. You could probably use grain alcohol or pure water, and just put drops under your tongue, and that will raise your immune system to any kind of viral entity that's in your body that is not conducive to your best restoration without getting a synthetic vaccine. Because, see, the other thing is also when you take a vaccine, not only are you getting the vaccine, which is synthetic, but you're getting a needle put in your arm, which is metal poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just adding to it, or drinking from an aluminum can. No one would think that if they're just putting a can to their mouth, that there's a transfer of aluminum oxides going into the system, which after accumulation causes so-called Alzheimer's disease,
Right.
which is really just a short circuiting of communication to the brain.
That's
you know,
correct.
and once you detox or do a metal detox, you find that you restore all that cognitive function back to normal, because you're just full, like the brother was asking the question about the metals. That's very important. And if you have amalgam fillings or silver fillings from way back,
I still got them, Dr.
they
Ark.
gotta go.
They're going on the 10th. They're taking them all out on March 10th.
Absolutely right, because you're getting cadmium, mercury, thallium.
And why they even think to use things like that in people's mouths?
Well, that's in the U.S.
Yeah.
Those things are outlawed in Germany and other countries. Way back, they got rid of that stuff because they know how toxic it was to the body. However, when we have those fillings, that's like having a IV drip of poison on a constant basis, and it's connected to your liver. The teeth are connected to the back and the vertebrae, right? Because everything in the body, the numbers and come together mathematically. So I think they understood that by putting that stuff in there, it was a slow road to.
Like the frog.
And now, even though I'm getting it out, this has been in probably 40 years, but I got it, at least that's a start. But then I've got to get my body, like you said, you got to cycle that stuff out. Now I have what do you call that thing? You get it, a sauna, I have one sitting out here in the box that's been in the box for 5 years, and then I have one that you're supposed to lay in the bed and you get down in and lay on something and you zip up in it, which I bought 3 years ago that I've still never taken it out. And I probably should be using some of these things once I sweat some stuff out of me. I was thinking, can I use that with the castor oil pack? The one you lay down in?
Is it dry heat?
No, it's a far infrared. It's infrared. It's infrared.
So far infrared.
Huh?
That's dry heat.
Yeah, it's on. It's, yeah, both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't see why that wouldn't work at all. That should work fine.
Cool.
That's real deep because you're opening up all your pores. You know.
That's better than a heating pad.
Yeah, that's like soaking in like Dead Sea salt. Right.
Okay.
So people can also make like you can buy Dead Sea salt in a bucket, or you can they have various soaking salts. I like the Dead Sea salt myself to make a hot tub and soak in it, which is basically saturating your body with magnesium, sulfate, and other minerals as well. And it's kind of like an exchange. So that's another way to get heavy metals out as well by using, say, a soap, not only with sea salt, but using bentonite clay. Mm-hmm. So you could get bentonite clay, make a tub full of that. And what you do is when you fill that tub up and you sit in that bentonite clay for 20, 30 minutes with tolerable hot water, what you do is you can allow the water to drain out slowly and do not get rid of the clay. The clay is going to settle to the bottom of the tub. And then you get a stick or a fork or whatever and pick through it. And I can promise you, you're going to see little shiny particles. You're going to see little metal pieces that passed and they were drawn out through your skin in the clay. And another thing that can be done also is ionic foot baths. Ionic foot baths are very good for drawing out heavy metals and other toxicity. And again, when you let that water, you pour the water off, or you let everything that's in the water settle. The next morning, you clear the water off, and then check everything that's in the bottom of that pan or that tub that you use, and you're going to find little flakes, black flakes, shiny flakes, all this stuff that passed out of your body, and you'll feel a difference.
Put on like pads under your feet. Are they any good?
Yeah, those work too. Absolutely. Because your feet are reflex points and joints to the entire body, just like your hands, your ears. Right. There's different techniques we can do to the ears and stimulate different points in the body. Same with the hands, pressure points to get rid of pain. And getting a reflexology massage is awesome. Or any massage, because guess it, you're touching the lymphatic system. You're creating neurochemicals, serotonin, dopamine. And, Dr. Jazz is an awesome OT. So she always comes around and squeezes me and stuff.
I give him units.
And you squeeze up and let go, squeeze up and let go. And next thing you just feel this wave.
Feel your body flush.
Of neurochemicals coming through, and you just get all giddy and happy. And it's like, ooh, that was better than sex, baby. Thank you.
Listen, unfortunately, we are about at that time. I have held off for my situation. I didn't want to go and put you on solo, but it's now tugging at me.
Okay.
All right. And I do want to say, thank you so much for coming on. And, we need these health, we need to do stuff like this because there are different ones that don't hear, all the shows. And I'm always certain that somebody's on that needs to hear what's being said when it's something helpful like this. Somebody needs to hear it or somebody needs to know. And I want you all to reach out to Dr. Jazz, Dr. Arkh at templerestoration.life and get a consultation and find out yes.
Yeah, let me just insert what I did do. I had our webmaster's son. He put in a code that people can use, and I'm donating some time. If they want to purchase a consultation, I'm adding time to that. And the code is Ark Life 330. Ark Life free 30. So if they put that in the coupon code,
but I can let me see if I can add. So if they discount. What is it? Is it the discount? Is that what it is? Code?
Yeah, I'm giving
coupon code.
It's a coupon code.
Okay, coupon.
for extra time on the consultation.
Let me try to. I'm gonna put this
How
on.
much?
It's extra time and $50 off.
Coupon code. I'll just
So
put
ARKHLIFE free 30. So it's ARKH
got that.
LIFE FREE. Is it 30 number or so? The number 30.
Does it have to be like in all caps or something? Because I didn't put it in.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
ARKHLIFE. Let me make sure I did that. Coupon code. Before we go. ARKLIFEFREE 30. Right?
Did you put an H on Ark? ARKH?
Yeah, I keep saying E, but it says H. She sees.
Okay.
For extra 30 minutes. Is that what it is? Or what did you say?
Yeah, $50 off.
For extra 30, is it two different things?
Well, the coupon's going to generate the $50 off in 30 more minutes of consultation time.
Okay, extra. Let me, y'all give me a moment. Extra 30 minutes.
And that's, I guess, just for your listeners.
$50.
You heard it on Dr. G.
I got $500 off. That's good. All right. Let me save this. And let's see if I got it right. Read that. Is that?
That looks good, right? That's perfect.
All right. All right there. So get that up there for a minute so folks can see that. So you can get 30 minutes, extra 30 minutes, and $50 off. Should I put consultation?
My white master son said, yes, he said it's good for a week.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, let me until EXP. What's a week from now? What's the day? How many days are in this year, month? 28.
March 3rd.
So
March 3rd.
Good through March 3rd.
And that's I have an appointment that I have to get on the phone. So prior to your exit, I'm going to hear your music. So I got to get my dance on.
Okay.
That's popping.
All right. Here we go. There we go. Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
So love and peace to everyone that was on the call. We appreciate your time and energy to allow us to be here. We want to thank Dr. G.
Always a pleasure.
For being such a light to everyone and being a guiding in health and wellness.
Yes, being a connector.
To all kinds of good people, because I've been watching other shows as well, and they're all awesome people, because we are all awesome people. And I'm just grateful for you. I'm so thankful for everything that you're doing. And I pray and bless you with much prosperity and abundance and a good movement when you get off the phone to go where you're going.
Yes. I have to do some things and everything. Like I stay awake because so y'all know my dad's homegoing is Friday and tomorrow is the inspection, and I gotta have the memory board done before 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I'll be doing that. But before that, and I thank everybody for their their prayers and texts and so forth. Really appreciate it.
Yes, ours as well. Go out to you and your family for strength and peace.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, we're going out here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Peace and love, fam.
Peace and love. We're going out. Dr. G.
Dr. G. Really? Oh shit.
Yeah, that's me.
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 Dr. G. Really?